right, let me get to where I need to get to. Oh, shoot. Okay, good. All right, I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, can you see my screen okay?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, good. Let me just get, you can probably see the pictures here. Let me get those out of the way. Oops. Well, they're a little along the bottom. That should be okay. Okay, good. Just wanted to go over where we're at in the course and what we have to look forward to. We are at the point where Unit 11 just completed. It was a self-reflection. It was on routing. It was optional, routing in NoSQL stores. It was optional because it was the most technical of the units that we covered. There was some discussion on Piazza. It was, you know, it involved a few people, but it was, I thought it was still a productive discussion. Somebody just pointed out another comment, which I appreciated, a follow-up comment. So there's a little bit of discussion, but good. And I can, if people feel inclined, I can come back to talking about that reflection. And as soon as I'm done through this, we can come back to that. And again, we can put some time into talking about the reflection if you'd like to do that. Okay, so looking forward, the unit that's going to be released today is Unit 12. Actually, Unit 12 and the project will both be released a little bit later tonight. Unit 12 is on data cleaning, coding, and evaluation, and the mode for it is a self-reflection. I like this unit quite a bit. It should have been earlier in the semester, but we moved it later because the earlier the part of the semester, this is the third time we're offering this course, and it used to be offered much earlier, this unit, but because we had to put a lot of, we put more time into ramping you all up for the project, we had to shift NoSQL content earlier so that it gave the right background. So I think it's better, but the end result is we're looking at something that's an early pipeline process, and we're looking at it later in the semester. But what I did in putting this lesson together is I grabbed cleaning examples from ecology, social science, and health. And I found a data set in ecology, and I went through it carefully, pointing out where you know, the problem with cleaning is it's sometimes one person's interpretation of cleaning can be another person's interpretation of something that's correct, but maybe an omission. So the whole cleaning is a bit of an art. You know, people say coding is an art. Data cleaning is a bit of an art. So I just try to point out different interpretations in ecology. And then for social science, I point you to a couple short lessons by a gentleman at a university in the UK who does a really good job, I think, explaining cleaning and coding in the context of social science. And where cleaning and coding are connected is, particularly in social science, when you do a survey, when you interview people and do a survey, much of what you get back are textual responses. And those responses you have to turn into something that is analyzable using statistical analysis tools. So the process of encoding responses into categories such that you can then assign numbers to those categories and analyze is the coding process. So cleaning and coding are closely related. And this social science couple videos goes into that, the coding piece of it also. And then finally, the self-reflection, and I strongly suggest that you look at this, there's a federal agency that has given guidelines on data cleaning for health data. So across those three, you're getting a sense for what some of the cleaning issues are in ecology, in social science, and in health-related industries or health-related research or whatever. So I think it's a really nice breadth. So I really like that unit. The project I'll come back to. And then we've got 2 units after that on data provenance and on overcoming social and technical barriers. Data provenance is critical for ascertaining trust. So one thing is, you know, that so cleaning and so I'm jumping around here. Data provenance is the lineage of a piece of data. And, you know, if I were to give you a data set, you would immediately trust that data set because he knows me, he knows the context, he knows the work that I do. But if there are 50 years that separate you and I, and he's still plugging away doing something, and I'm off on some, you know, some small island, you know, drinking pina coladas, then where does that conveyance, that contextual conveyance of trust, it's not there anymore. So provenance tries to provide that lineage record, and it's drawn from a piece of art where when one buys a Rembrandt, one always looks at the provenance record because the provenance record tells you where that piece of art has been, who owned it, how much it was sold for, all the way back to its origins. And the more complete the provenance record, the better. And you simply don't buy a piece of art without not only a provenance record, but a provenance record you can trust. So it's a provenance record that's held by an authoritative source. So data provenance tries to do the same thing that the provenance in the art world does for art. Data provenance tries to do for data, digital data. So it's an important topic. And then unit 15 is overcoming social and technical barriers. And this is our nod to all of the social and organizational issues around data sharing that we talked a little bit about right in the beginning when we talked about big data and some of the readings that you did, but we haven't, you know, then we dove into more technical issues. Waihan?
Yeah.
Waihan. Hey, okay, I'm sorry, can you mute, please?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Okay, so anyway, so that is unit 15. So what I want to point out here is unit 12 is a self-reflection. Unit 14 is a discussion, as is unit 15. And this is based on some of the talking that we did here. Your engagement with units 14 and 15 will be through Piazza. We will post probably a couple questions for each unit. And for each unit, for each question, you will go in and offer your opinion for the question that's being asked. And then you're going to weigh in on 2 other opinions. So if there's 2 questions, there is going to be 6 points of engagement for your engagement in that discussion. So I just be aware of that. So when those things come up, that this is your model for engaging for those 2 units. Questions at all on that?
Excuse me, may I ask you please? So it's
Sure.
only for units 14 and 15?
Yes, yes.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, good. Okay, and now let's shift back to unit 13. Unit 13 is going to be released the same time unit 12 is. It's your second project. You have 2 options. You have until the 5th of December to work on them, to work it out. The first option is another analysis piece, and this will be done using the virtual machines that we used in project part A. But you'll be analyzing books instead of analyzing Twitter data. And we'll go through and you has a description that we'll go through in more detail. You can choose that, or you can choose to do a report. And the report has 4 topics that for each of those topics, there are about 4 papers that will get you started. From there, you can look at the bibliographies to find more readings so that you can read around that more fully if you feel like you need to. You will then write what's called a synthesis paper, and that synthesis paper, which I give you guidance on how to do that, it's a proactive way of reading. Where the first synthesis paper that I did was a groundbreaking for me in terms of where it took me. in my ability to write constructively and write in what I thought was a scientific form. The typical student response to a paper is, read a paper, write about it, read a paper, write about it, read a paper, write about it. And that's a fairly inactive way of engaging with readings. The synthesis paper forces you to proactively engage with what you're reading and write about the topics that are important and how these papers contribute to that topic. It's a really nice, if you haven't gone through it before, I would suggest going through it. It can be especially if writing is part of what you do in your job or in your schooling, it's an important transformation for one to make. There are the 4 topics, as I had mentioned. There's also, for those that have a well-defined area in which they're already working, there is an option for a self-defined project as well. So this lays us out basically for the rest of the semester. So I wanted to make it clear, we are grading your project right now, your project A. We should have those done and available for you a week from now. We are also grading assignment 6. We're getting that finished up. I think that got a little bit slowed down because we wanted to get the project out. But after those 2, these are the points of our assessment. So again, so this is where we are finishing up here, and I wanted to give you a clear picture of what that looked like. Questions at all? Is it all seemingly pretty clear?
Would you kindly give us a little bit more information about the Project B analysis part?
Sure.
From the programmatic development, or it's just the different data that we analyze the same way?
Yeah, so we can jump to that, and that's our next step. So are people clear on this piece of it?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay, perfect, good. That's what I was hoping to hear. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then if you could pick it up and open up the project, and we can shift to that.
Okay.
Great. Hold on. And that should give it to you. Yeah, you should have it now.
Okay, let me share my screen. So it's just okay. So hi everyone. So the description will be posted on the canvas. Not the canvas, on the edX. It's on the courseware. So we will release it tonight. So here, this is the description about the an analysis on the textbook. So here, this is the introduction. So for this project, we are going to download a book from the project Gutenberg. So Gutenberg is a website that can give free book download. So you just choose a book from this Gutenberg and download it into your instance. And in your instance, you try to use Python to insert into the MongoDB database. So for this project, we are going to use Python. How many students familiar with Python? Can you post your information on the chat so we can know what's happening? How many students familiar with Python and use Python before? So, okay, beginner, that's fine. So for this project, you don't need to have very strong background about Python, about the programming language. You just need to follow the introductions and you can finish your project. So there's no very complicated coding there. So for the Python, we are going to use natural language toolkit, this library, to extract a list of characters from the book. So that's a library can help you to finish the project, but you don't need to develop any code in it. You just need to learn how to run command on the Python shell. So for this project, you are going to learn how to process the text of the book to create a network of relationship between the characters. So, and you have to learn a couple common ways to analyze a network using network science tools. So at the final, you are going to visualize the relationship using the Goofy graphic visualization platform. So for this project, we have these requirements for students. Professor, can you introduce this one?
Sure. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. So let me just give you a sense of what we're trying to do here. The first step is the what we call the minimal part of the project is you work with Les Miserables is the text that you download from Project Gutenberg. You download it into your virtual machine, and you run an analysis tool over it that isolates the relationships, the characters and their relationships to one another that take place in the book. And there's an analysis tool that does that. And then you visualize that using a network graphing tool. So the minimal piece of that is you do that for Les Mis. And doing that is, in my mind, is worth 93 points. It's a 100-point project. That's worth 93 points. And for some people who have busy lives, I worked some of my graduate schooling, in fact, a fair amount of my graduate schooling was done while I was working full time. I know what it's like to make trade-offs and to say, you know what, 93 points is an A, that is good enough. So I wanted to make sure you had that option for people who don't have infinite time to tweak around and do things because somebody asks them to do it in a class. So that's the minimal requirement. You analyze Les Mis. Okay. Then you take it to what we call minimal plus, and that takes it just a step beyond. And here now, instead of using Les Mis, you are hunting through Project Gutenberg and you are picking out some small set of books, couple maybe, I don't know, if you can find coherence in three maybe, and then you put those through the same analysis process, and then you talk about why you chose those books, and you talk about why the network graph, the resulting network graph is interesting, is meaningful. And the project description says, well, you can use blog entries, so that suggests Project Gutenberg has a lot more text on it than just books. So you do that, and that takes you to 100 points. And that's that piece. And then we're giving 2 extra credit options. One extra credit option is to take that same analysis and push it a step further by increasing the books that you're selecting, or and again, it's not a numbers game, so we're still looking for coherence, and then really looking at the processes themselves and how they can be refined and tweaked so that the results are better. So we're looking for demonstrations of kind of tweaking and playing with the process, and then refined results that come as a result of that. So you do that and you write a convincing report on that. That's worth 10 extra credit points. The second option for extra credit points takes you right back to using Les Mis as your text, only now instead of pulling it down from Project Gutenberg, where it's really clean, it's a clean single text file that's been nicely cleaned up, we're going to do that same analysis using the Les Mis content from the author, the same author, Victor Hugo, that's sitting in the HathiTrust Digital Library. And here you quickly learn that Les Mis is actually in multiple parts, and there's duplicates because there's multiple scans of multiple versions because it's a well-known book. So you're actually dealing with 536 files instead of 1 file. And this is the difference between the clean and the not clean, because in HathiTrust, this is what libraries have, and it's not all cleaned up like you get in Project Gutenberg. So for those people who are willing to tackle that, you would set up an instance like the Jetstream instance, only it's called a data capsule, and it's a little more rigorous than the Jetstream is, because it's protecting against copyright content leaving the virtual machine. So there's mechanisms in place. But for those people that are interested in taking that on, and giving feedback to the development team, and there's only 20 people that we can support under this option, there's 10 extra credit points for that option as well. And people can do one or the other of the extra credit options, but not both. So questions at all?
I just wanted to say thank you for adding the extra credit option. This is Jessica.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. So why don't you go on?
So for this project, if you finish project A in JetStream, so you don't need to do anything. So you just need to launch a new instance. So our AI have published a instance, the project B instance, an image in the JetStream. Just go there and select this image, project B image, and use these options to start the instance. So for this project, we are going to use the JetStream Tech TSCC provider and use the tiny size for this project because this project is very small, so we don't want to use other larger size. And for this project, when you make your instance is running there, and you just need to create a project folder in the instance and git clone this package, code package from the GitHub. So it's very straightforward. You can just copy paste this command line in your terminal of instance, and then the terminal can download the code from the GitHub. So just follow these steps, you are going to build up the environment there. And here, this is the case study. So if we go back to our grading part, so the student just finished the analysis for the list misreadable. So there, so you can get the 92%. So just follow this case study, you will get the 93 percentage grade there. So for this project, I will not talk much about this case study. So you have to figure it out by yourself. And there are 6 steps here. So first, you have to insert your text into MongoDB. Then write a find query to retrieve all the text from MongoDB. Then the third step, just pass the result of the query to the load text and find people functions. So we have developed the functions for the entire project. You don't need to do anything. You just need to learn how to call this method in Python and get the result.
So let me, if I can add something really quickly, can you go back up to the GitHub piece?
You mean here or this GitHub?
Okay, yeah, okay, thank you. So, okay, I'm sorry, go on. I think I jumped ahead a little bit.
Okay.
So go on, sorry.
Thank you. So here, so for this result, just to get past the load text and find people function to find the people mentioned in the text, you have to do some data cleaning work. So just use the remove command to do the data clean and to get needed data from the text block. Then at the end, you just need to use the create network function to create a network representation of the relationship between people in the text. So here, this is the example here. So at the end, you will have to generate this kind of file, this graphic to show the relationship between people in the book. So this graphic can show strong or weak relation between different people in the book. So here, this is our report and deliverable. So for your report, for your result, for your project, you have to follow this description to submit your work to us in the Canvas. So Professor, do you want to say anything about something additional for this project? So about GitHub, about the...
Yeah, so I'm looking in the project description. Oh yeah, can you go up to the set up directories and download code?
Okay, here, this
yeah,
one.
there it is right there. Okay, so yeah, thank you, good. So we are having you do a GitHub clone, and this is new for the class. But the reason we're having you do that is you do this from inside your virtual machine. And by doing it in your virtual machine, it automatically brings all the code into your virtual machine. And that way, we thought that would be easier than you having to try to download it into your laptop and then copying it, SCPing from your laptop into the virtual machine. So again, so we introduced this GitHub concept because we thought it would be an easier way of getting the code and the software that you need into your machine. So that's why we're doing that right there. And then can we go down to the Mongo just a little bit down further, right? Yeah, this PyMongo. Okay, so last time you used MongoDB directly. This time we're having you access an instance of MongoDB that's still in your VM like it was last time, but we're having you access it through Python. And the reason for that is the analysis tools are Python analysis tools. So you can hook the data that you retrieve from MongoDB, you can hook it together to your analysis algorithm much easier when you're doing it all through Python. So that's why we've got you using this Python interface to MongoDB instead of MongoDB directly. So both of those things are different. And I know some of this stuff is confusing, but again, the point is to simplify things for you rather than complicate things. So if you run into confusion with that, I guess, bring it to our attention, but we're trying to simplify things here for you. So are there any questions on that at all in what we're trying to do and what you're doing with respect to these two steps, the GitHub and the PyMongo?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, so go ahead.
May I ask you, please? You mentioned that we need to use functions from Python, like load text or something like that. Do you provide any clarification on that? How exactly we need to use it, or we just need to create the code ourselves?
You're not creating any code yourselves. That's not the point of this project or this course.
So if you read this description carefully, you can know how this function work, but you don't need to read the code base. You just need to remember this function name and how to use this function, where to use this function. That's all.
Got it. Thank you very much.
So also, so we will give you a library there. So if you download the Git, from Git, you'll find that there's a library there. So you can just use these functions from this library. Yeah, just to follow, please to remember you have to import the library, like this one. From library, import everything. So this is the command to help you to extract functions from library file, then import it into your Python. So this is a description. So just read it carefully and you will know why this command works, how this command works, and how to use this command to get the result.
So if you're done with that piece, could we go down to the deliverables?
Oh, deliverables, okay. Here is the deliverables, okay.
Okay, and pop up a little bit, just a tiny bit. Again, you'll be getting this project report a little tonight, but pop up a bit, a little bit further. Okay, pop up a bit further.
This one?
Okay, right there, yeah. So just, this is sitting right below the network graph. You can see the few nodes of the network graph on the top of view screen. But when it says analyzing other text, this is the minimal plus portion of the project. This is where you go beyond Les Mis and you pick, some small number of text to analyze. This is the 93 points to 100 points piece of the project. So that's called out separately. Now, can you drop down a little bit? And then this is a little more detail on the option, extra credit option number 2. We won't go through that, but now we can drop down a little bit further. Okay, report and deliverables. Let's bring some of that up. Okay, now here again, you're seeing the terms. There's the report. And what we're asking you to submit a report plus substantiating information that shows that you did the project. I mean, this is pretty typical, is that, you provide, again, substantiating information. So what we need here, we need a report in all cases, the formats are given. And then we need, and I'm looking, may I grab the screen, you?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I don't have the, never mind, I don't have it up. Okay, so, okay. So if we look under report, this first option, you'll submit a report. Okay, then you're going to give us all the sources you consulted, that including other students, not mentioning AIs or other class resources. And then you're going to answer the questions in each one of these pieces, plus whatever there's also deliverables. So if you do the minimal piece, which is the 93 points, you'll submit the report that answers number 1 there, and And then you'll answer question number 1, is a window size of 15 a good window size? Number 2, what are the strengths and weaknesses of a larger window size? Give an example of a relationship that was missed because of a window size of n equals 15. Again, this should be, once you do your project, this will become clear. And then you're going to include a copy of the network graph that you generated for the characters in Les Mis from this tool, Gephi. Then if you do the minimal plus, which is the 94 to 100 points, then you're going to include, there's a couple questions there too, or there's one question, an additional question that you'll do, because you'll do all the minimal plus then the minimal plus. So you'll answer that other question under minimal plus, include a copy of that graph. So now you've got 2 graphs, and you're going to include an archive that contains the text that you chose to analyze. And then there's others for extra credit option 1 and 2, but is that clear how they're additive? And you've got questions in each one, and you'll write a report that, if you're going to do minimal plus, you'll write a report that covers the minimal piece, the minimal plus piece, your sources. Is that clear to everybody? Or are there, I should say, are there questions at all?
It's clear.
Good. Okay. Very good. Okay. And who is this talking? Who is that just spoke up? Right. All right. That should be good for this one then.
Okay, here, this is a report.
Perfect. Good.
Paper. So yeah, I think you need this part.
Okay. Yeah. So I can, if you're okay with it, I can run through that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So this is, I had mentioned this earlier. This is the project report. You'll read papers in the list. You'll pick a topic, read papers in the list for that topic. The paper will be 5 pages in length, 11-point font, double spaced, single column, 1-inch margin. So this is not an onerous report to write. Double spacing is not a lot of text. The intention here is that you're writing a powerful 5 pages and not a wordy 5 pages, that you're really making those 5 pages count. I mean, an instructor can always make the choice between 12 pages or 5 pages. And the hope here is that, and the goal here is that there are 5 well thought out pages instead of, late night wanderings, which are painful for you to write and painful for me to read. So, okay, so that's that. As I mentioned, the paper is a synthesizing paper. So to give you a better understanding of what that is, there is a resource that we're dropping onto Canvas for your use that talks about how to synthesize articles for a paper. It's a slide deck. It's for psychology, but it's well done. It's a tutorial. So I encourage you to take a look at that and certainly ask questions if you're still unclear on what the synthesis paper is. Now, can we drop down to okay, so the first topic is data stories through visualization. And there's, 4 papers that I've selected. And these are all in venues that are readable. Communications of ACM is a general publication for, it's not quite science, Scientific American, but it's close to being that in its reachability of the approachability of the articles. So if you're interested in data visualization, data stories through visualization, there's these resources. These are a starting point for you then. The expectation is you're reading probably no more than 10 papers, but more than the 4 that I've given in order to do this report. You can drop down to the next topic. Saving scientific data for future generations. This is a reference to the social and organizational issues, the social and organizational barriers that we're discussing in Unit 15. Next one. Data sharing and replication. Again, a Unit 15 topic, and partly 14, because some of the replication is a provenance topic. And then finally, if you can drop down, and then there's data quality. And here again, this one's got an interesting paper, the parable of the Google flu, where people were looking at sales of Kleenex, I believe, and then drawing conclusions about flu season from it. It's an interesting article. And then finally, can you drop down all the way down? And again, then there is this option if you're clear on what you want to do of a topic that's of interest to you, and you can assemble 4 to 5 papers that are coherent around your topic of interest and have those and a bibliography that's approved by me before next week, you're free to go forward on this topic of your own choosing. Someone had asked me in the earlier session of this class if there was going to be some extra credit associated with this. I will add some extra credit to this just because it is, I think it's fair if we're going to do extra credit in the analysis portion to do extra credit for this as well. And it will probably be to expand on the content or take on 2 topics would be the nature of it. And it would be 10 points also. Questions at all?
Sorry, I do not have questions regarding the papers, but regarding the Haiti Trust that you mentioned, would it be okay if I ask about it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So did I understand correctly that there are special instructions how to proceed in Haiti Trust, or we will just follow the Project B instructions, so downloading the Miserable and analyzing multiple copies of it?
It is got its own set of instructions, so it's more open-ended. The tools are going to be the same, but getting things into the image. Let me see. Yeah, we may be able to do the cloning of the tools into the image, though I believe it already has Python installed and NLTK are already installed in the image. They would need MongoDB installed, and then the big thing is, because the content is sitting in 536 different files instead of one file, there's going to be extra tools needed to stitch all of those files together in a way that analysis can take place. We have those tools, and when I say we, I mean the HathiTrust Research Center has those tools and can make those available, and they will make those available. But the instructions are not going to be as carefully laid out as they are for this project. I mean, every step is laid out here for you. In the data capsules, it's more open-ended. You're going to be given a tool, and you're going to need to know when to use it and how to use it and where to use it. So it's a little more open-ended. That's why I'm suggesting that it be it's well suited for self-starters who have time, tolerance, and background for kind of pushing the bleeding edge here.
Thank you. Thank you for the information.
Other questions?
Actually, if I may, if no one's asking any questions,
Sure.
I have a question not related to our topic today, but I just started wondering for the next semester. And as you mentioned that this class is just an introduction to NoSQL and to, cloud computing. I wonder, do we have any next level classes that would give us essential details that we would use, we would be able to use productively, in our work?
Yeah, and much of this depends on if a person's orientation heavily technical or if it's more manipulation and use of tools for purposes of solving problems. If one is oriented technically, the class I would recommend is a class called Cloud Computing that Professor Judy Chu offers. I don't know if it's offered in the spring or not. I don't have that right in front of me, but that would be one to look at. If
Would you kindly repeat the last name, Judy?
Chu, it's Qiu.
I see. Thank you.
Okay. And then the class is called Cloud Computing.
Great. Thank you very much.
And I wish I had the spring course offerings. Let me just see if I can find those really quickly. If I can find them quickly, I can give advice that's very specific to next fall. So let me turn away just for a minute here and see if I can find this quickly.
Thank you very much.
Maybe you can dance or something, or sing a song, or whatever. I don't mean to.
So I can just talk more about this project because
Okay.
people don't have very strong background about Python. So for this project, you don't need to develop anything. You just need to learn how to use this code. So if you're familiar with that, you can know we give you some method in the Python library. You just need to learn how to use this Python method and just apply this method in your project. So we will give you a list of methods in it, and you just go there to learn. You don't need to read it. You just need to understand the naming work, understand the name, and try to learn how to use that. We will give you a tutorial about how to use these different methods, and hope this method can help you get more work on the project. And so for this project, it seems like I think there's no question about this part. So just follow the case study, you will get the minimum grade there, and I think that's done. Then you can do your work on this on the extra credits or on the plus part. So
I can come back. I found it. Is it time or no?
No, you can just keep talking. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good. All right. So the courses, Judy Chu. So this is for the heavily technically oriented people. The course is it's B649, and it's called Cloud Computing, and it's offered by Professor Chu, KIU. QIU. There is another spring course that's again heavily technically oriented called Big Data Software and Projects. And that is an I-524, and it's taught by Dr. Von Lazewski, Laszewski. For those who are not heavily technically oriented, there is, let me see, I wish I could just share this with you. There's a couple interesting visualization classes. I've been talking with people about the importance of visualization in the work you will do in conveying information, especially complex information, to people. So there is an I-590 called Network Science by Professor Y.Y. Ahn, AHN. And there is another visualization called Information Visualization, which is Z637 by Professor Kadi Berner, Borner. I'll stop there.
Would you kindly post it on the chat so we can just copy it?
Sure,
Would
yeah,
it be
that's-
possible?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a
Thank
good
you.
idea. Yeah. Okay, so it's, so I'll just go ahead and get this. I don't know if you want to, or we could just all, give me a second to type this too. That would work too. So this is spring 2017, and it's, oops, it's, and it's E649. I'll just put these out one at a time. There's that one. Those are the two technically oriented ones. And the that's a good visualization one. And one more. Let's see. There, that's what I was saying. There's the two that are really strongly technically oriented, and then there are a couple that are good visualization classes. They're all offered this spring. So are there any other, did people get that okay?
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, good. Okay, so are there other things that we need to talk about? It sounds like we're a little bit quiet tonight. I think it's late. It's been a long week. Actually, I'm extending into last week. I'm still exhausted and grappling with things, but and anything else anybody else want to talk about? If not, we'll go ahead and say goodbye for now. Oh yeah, there's something I want to talk about. Next week is Thanksgiving week. Why don't you stop sharing your screen?
Oh, okay.
No need for that.
Okay. Okay.
Great. Good. It's Thanksgiving week next week. So we will not have class at all. In fact, you've got the entire week off. That's the point of the week. So have a good Thanksgiving. We will be back on the 29th of November, which is the Monday after Thanksgiving week. So ask us questions. We have this week, we have Thanksgiving week, and then you have one more week, and then the project is due. So get some work done this week. If you think you're going to take on the data capsule, let me know. That is the first come, first serve. So act quickly on that. You can set up an account and play around with the data capsule if you think you want to give it a try first. I encourage you to do that. That's in the project description. In other words, but do engage right away so that you're not caught at the end and you're not caught working Thanksgiving week.
I have one quick question.
Mhm.
For the extra credit for the analysis, do you think one extra credit project is more difficult than the other?
Yeah, I think the data capsule one is more difficult.
Okay.
Yeah, just because it's kind of open-ended with respect to the tools you have to use. It's not neatly packaged. It's like a math problem, you know, those math problems that we did in high school and college. They were all nicely framed, so they came to a nice solution. Well, our projects have been like that too, and this one's not like that.
Thank you.
Okay, good. And Helen, it's good to hear you like the Z637 course. All right. Hey, I think we're done here. So we will see you all a couple weeks from now.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thank you very much. Have a good
Okay.
week.
All
Bye.
right. You too, Helen. Bye-bye.
Okay. So first I will stop this class and we'll post these videos to the edX.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Bye.